Mr. Johnson, I read your written testimony. You note that the Supreme Court recognized the work of streamlined sales tax states in removing barriers and burdens to interstate commerce. My question, since Wayfair decision, have states that aren't streamlined members enacted reforms to limit burdens on interstate commerce or taken steps to join Streamline?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. So with respect to have any states, the portion of your question asking about whether any states have joined Streamline that weren't part of Streamline prior to Wayfair, the answer is no. With respect to have they taken steps towards gaining membership or to doing things that the Streamline states have all done, the answer is yes. There are a number of states that have adopted some of our uniform definitions, for example. Now, have they adopted all of them? No. Could they become full members with that? No. But they've taken some of those steps, along with some of the other uniformity provisions related to exemptions and things such as that. However, you know, there are other things that some of those states have done as well since the Wayfair decision that Streamline states haven't done. Mr. Henchman mentioned what Texas has done with their local rates. They allow sellers, remote sellers, the option to collect one rate for all the local jurisdictions remitted to the state, and the state has to disperse that, as opposed to collecting and remitting each of the local jurisdictions. So I commend Texas for that. Pennsylvania adopted a similar program to what we have for the CSPs. I don't think it's as robust as what we have, but they have taken those steps. But most states have not done anything specifically that I am aware of to remove those undue burdens. Now, they have done what the Supreme Court noted in Wayfair. They did the no retroactive application. They put in a small seller threshold. But the question is, did they do the third thing, which is remove the undue burdens or join the Streamlined Sales Tax Governing Board? And I think that's the question that still remains, and that's a question the Supreme Court did not answer.
Mr. Johnson, 30,000 sellers have registered with Streamlined to collect and remit taxes to members. In his written testimony, Mr. Bishop Henchman notes it is estimated that nearly 50,000 businesses are ignoring their obligation to collect and remit sales tax and risk getting caught. In your view, would greater adoption of simplification requirements implemented by Streamline members increase the compliance rate of retailers with the sales tax obligations? In other words, getting at those 50,000?
Thank you again, Senator, for that question. And based on a survey that we did of our sellers, and this was prior to my testimony in 2022, those sellers indicated that they appreciate very much what Streamline has done. They wish every state would do the same thing. They wish every state would adopt our simplification and our uniformity provisions. So as far as whether or not that would improve the compliance, I think the answer is yes, absolutely it would. I think our member states have recognized that the simpler you make the laws for sellers to comply with, the greater the voluntary compliance, and you're going to recognize the revenues, those are going to come along with it, because you're going to make it easy for business to be able to calculate, collect, and remit the tax.
Yeah, Mr. Bishop Henchman, you noted that multiple states have tried or are attempting to enforce pre-Wayfair laws. They're effectively seeking to retroactively collect sales taxes from retailers that had no legal obligation to collect such taxes at that time. Are individual states generally observing the Supreme Court's recognition of the need for simplification to avoid imposing an undue burden on interstate commerce?
Thank you, Senator. Unfortunately, not enough. And one tool that we thought would be in the toolbox to prevent one state or a handful of states from them, so, you know, that one state imposing a huge burden on the rest of the country, was litigation. And unfortunately, that's been undercut by the Supreme Court's recent National Pork decision. I don't know if you're familiar with that decision, but it really kicks the ball back to Congress for a fix.
Proposition 12.
I'm sorry, Senator?
You're talking about California Proposition 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see more states voluntarily adopting simplification measures or becoming Streamlined members as more time passes after the Wayfair decision?
I think after the Wayfair decision, a lot of experts predicted a stampede of membership to SSUTA that hasn't materialized. So at this point, my answer would be no. I don't see states joining unless there's some incentive for them to do so.
I've got a couple of questions I'll submit for answer in writing.